Well, who expected that result today? Hands up if you expected that result, because I sure bloody didn't. So today, Sunderland took on St. Mirren and won 6. Yes, you heard me correctly, 6-0, which, you know, I'm not going to get over the top excited about. It was only St. Mirren, and they did have a few trialists in their squad, but at the same time, it was their... Well, it was their team. It was almost their first team with a few trialists every now and then popping up through substitutions and stuff like that. But I just try and put where I think St. Mirren would be in the English leagues and then go from there and just see how good of a result is that actually. I mean, St. Mirren, obviously, they had Jack Ross last year as their manager, who is now our manager. They got promoted from the Scottish Championship. So to put them kind of where they would be, maybe a League 2 side, possibly, potentially even a lower sort of League 1. I don't know, probably a League 2 side, but still 6-0 with the squad that we've got, which is still massively unfinished, and it was a very, very young squad as well. That's it. That's a fantastic, fantastic result, and that's 2 wins on the bounce now. We're picking up a little bit of a winning mentality, and hopefully they're starting to get used to wins again. So I'll quickly break down the goals anyway, because there was a lot of goals and a lot of things obviously gone on. It's a 6-0 win. It was an absolute battering, so there's only so much I can really talk about. So basically, as the game got underway, it was a very, very cagey sort of start. No sort of team really making their presence known and putting a stamp on the game. But eventually, not too far into the game, it was us who actually kind of took over the game and the possession and stuff like that, and that was all underpinned for me by Dylan McGeoch. He was absolutely excellent. We were pushing higher and higher up the pitch after probably the first 10 minutes or so, and it was really pinning them back pretty much in their own half, and every sort of attack would begin with Dylan McGeoch, who I think is a fantastic little player. I'm still pretty, not gobsmacked because he's not that much of an amazing signing, but he is going to be an absolutely incredible sort of asset to our squad going forward this season, because he can dictate the play, and he did that all afternoon today as well. But the first goal did come from Josh Maja. It was Chris Maguire who, to be fair, he had a very good game as well. He worked tirelessly throughout the game. He fed Josh Maja, and he managed to put it past the keeper to put us in the lead. And the second goal was a penalty by Gooch, who again was a very, very good player, probably my man of the match in this game. He was just a constant menace throughout. He looks like a completely different beast, particularly over this sort of pre-season. I mean, I've always thought he was a half-decent player. Like, he was okay-ish, but he just seems to have this new lease of life this year, as if to say, like, okay, right, I need to step it up now and really smash it. And he's just running at plays, and he looks like a bit of a different player to me. But again, it is only pre-season. I'm not going to get too excited about him, but he had a very, very good game today, so I'm pleased for him, and he got himself a goal through that penalty to make it 2-0. And for the rest of the first half, we pretty much dominated possession again and making the odd chance here and there. St. Mirren didn't really have anything to kind of respond with. They had the odd half chance, but it was very, very rare that they did get anything at all against us. But that was half time, and it was 2-0 at that point. And not too long into the first half, we did get ourselves a third goal, and it was Gooch again to get himself a second goal of the game. It was Maguire who had his shot saved. It made its way to Maja, who pulled it back to Gooch. He held off the ball well and then just dragged it into that bottom left-hand corner to make it 3. From the fourth, it actually came from a St. Mirren corner, which was punted upfield. Josh Maja brought it under control and eventually tucked it away. A very tidy finish indeed from the young lad. And for the fifth, it come down the left-hand side. We put in a cross that was deflected, but it did find Honeyman, and he did manage to bundle it into the back of the net. So that was 5-0 at that point, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, could we get another one? And of course we did. And with St. Mirren breaking forward, and we had the young legs of Molyneux on the pitch, we did manage to get a counter-attack and ended up rounding it off to make it 6-0. So that ended the game 6-0. Fantastic. Like I say, I'm not going to get too ahead of ourselves, but it is a really good result, and a result that's going to really boost the morale of the lads. So something I mentioned on Instagram the other day, I'm still quite confused as to why we would arrange the friendly against Middlesbrough for the final game of pre-season, because, we know that Middlesbrough, they've got a better squad than us. They've got a much better squad than us. They have a better team than us. But, I'm not going to say we shouldn't play teams that are better than us, but to play a rival as such just before the opening game of the season, where we're most likely going to get battered away from home, it's just gonna, what's the point? That you're just gonna smash the morale of the team and destroy it just before you head into the opening game of the season. But I have all faith in the lads. Hopefully they do manage to surprise me, because if they do manage to get a win, against Borough, then I know that their heads are going to be held so high, and the confidence will be through the roof going into the first game of the season. But at the same time, I don't really want it to be another Celtic like last season, and then look what happened after that. But that was the game, and as you can see, Jack Ross's words and his sort of tactics are really coming together now. And again, this squad is massively incomplete. So for him to get this out of that squad it's fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. One thing what I did kind of disagree with is putting Cattermole on the pitch. I don't know why we keep playing Cattermole, because Stuart Donald has already said that Cattermole doesn't want to be here. I understand, he is being very professional, he's been very good about it, and he's still coming to training, he's working hard, and he's taking part in pre-season, even though, to be fair, you probably would be forgiven if you didn't even know Cattermole was on the pitch today, because, we didn't have a horrendous game, but he wouldn't even know he was there. It was McGeoch who was doing everything in midfield. So I just don't understand why he was given the game time. Why wouldn't you put someone else on in front of him? Why wouldn't you put Mumba on or something like that to give him some game time if Cattermole is likely to leave anyway before the beginning of the season? But that's by the by. So now we'll briefly talk about transfers. Callum McManaman has left to Wigan. And something I also mentioned in the last video, which I'm sure you may remember, I said in the last video that in the Stuart Donald podcast with the Roker Report, all Stuart Donald said when questioned whether McGeady or McManaman will be staying, all Stuart Donald said was, if they are both happy, if they are both happy, we can accommodate their wages and so they can stay, because our wage budget is big enough to accommodate their wages, because their wages mustn't be, of sort of Rodwell level, if you know what I mean. So he's basically said, if they are happy, they can stay. And then after that, the Roker Report published a bloody article saying, McManaman and McGeady have pledged their commitment to Sunderland. How? Where did you get that from? That even I said that in the last video, that I don't know why they published that article. Because now that McManaman's gone, first of all, I question whether they've even listened to their own bloody podcast. But now that McManaman has gone, there was a slight turn against Stuart Donald. And people, obviously, even some of the listeners, haven't properly listened to it, because he didn't say that. He didn't say that they're definitely staying. So what the Roker Report then what they've done by releasing that little article saying that they're both going to stay, they've turned some fans against Stuart Donald, even if it is just for a brief moment, because they've stupidly published an article that was false and not 100% accurate. They've made fans say, oh, well, Stuart Donald's lying, he said they're going to stay. Well, first of all, those fans should have listened to the article, and the Roker Report should be a bit more bloody responsible, and not so bloody mediocre, because that was shocking, and I pointed it out in the last video, and now it's actually happened. I said in the last video, it wouldn't surprise me if either McGeady or McManaman do leave, most likely McManaman, because McGeady is currently injured, but, Stuart Donald didn't look convinced that they were going to stay. Again, all they said is, if they are happy, they can stay. So where the hell the Roker Report, how they translated that into Stuart Donald promising their commitment to the club, I don't know where the hell they've got that from. But that just pissed me off a little bit. That was really shoddy journalism from the Roker Report. It really is just bloody amateur. But anyway, Callum McManaman has gone, something I'm a little bit gutted about, because his pre-season was really getting underway with us and he was looking really good. So it is a shame that he's gone, but again, I know I say it all the time every time a player leaves, if they don't want to be here, then I don't want them here. But, fair play to him. He weren't fantastic last season by any stretch. He was injured for spits and spurts, but I thought he would have pushed on this season, and he would have been fantastic in this league for us. But, all the best to him. I'll see you later. But we have brought in a new centre-back, Glenn Loovens, and this is probably the only transfer so far that I'm not massively pleased with. Of course, people say, oh, well, we need an experienced centre-back. First of all, he's 34, which to me, I think that's a little bit too old. And, he hasn't been a half bad player in his time, and he probably could contribute something, but it's just another John O'Shea, really. But, it's just the debate of whether who's better than the other. We've just brought in another John O'Shea. We've signed him on a 2-year deal. I've said many a time that I don't really believe in experienced players anymore. I'm not going to go into that whole sort of argument again, but basically, Sunderland, we have a history of buying players who are supposed to be experienced, so we'll buy them just because their name is slightly relevant in world football. Like, we've bought certain players who we bought them for their name and they've been shit when they've come here, but people say, oh, well, they're experienced, they must be good. You get on the pitch, they're doing shit. So I don't really understand the whole experience things anymore. They just sit on a massive wage and don't really offer as much. But Obviously, Leuven's, it's slightly different because we're in League One now. We won't be offering massive wages. But, I'm not massively convinced by that signing. And I hope he does prove me wrong. I do, because he has been a decent footballer in his time. He has, but he is aging quite rapidly. Well, not rapidly. Everyone ages at the same rate, don't they? But he's 34, so it's a bit different. It's a bit shocking. If we did bring in a 29, 30-year-old, I don't really mind that as a centre-back. But Leuven is very physical. He's a very physical player, and he is a real leader as well, which I suppose is good to have around the squad. But how much of an impact he'll have on the pitch remains to be seen. But I think as of right now, that is everything that I've covered, so I will leave you with that. And of course, if you have enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. That would be massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarnie Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.